I have a very stupid but real question. I mean, so like, as the nature of being a superhero, you kind of have to do like the hand movements thing, right? You have to sell that. Is there a discussion of like, oh wait, we need to sell Sue's hand movements in a different way than Scarlet Witch. I need a different special hand movement than Lizzie.
Exactly, Josh. Oh my gosh, you're so perceptive. I had that conversation daily because what she does is incredible and it's so definitive. And I also wanted to understand the powers at a very fundamental level. Otherwise, I think I would feel a bit silly. You know what I mean? I knew I would feel silly kind of waving my hands around without really understanding what it feels like to do it. But then you go, well, how how do I start to imagine what it feels like to do it? And so I had to understand it on a scientific level. So I was imagining that Sue creating force fields is essentially like moving frequency or energy, right? And if you think about radio waves or microwaves, or our phone waves that connect a call to Australia from England, it's not what the connection is invisible, but it's still moving through space, if that makes
Sure.
sense.
Hmm.
And we can't see them with our retinas, but it's there. And so I imagined, okay, Sue can just move things. She can move light in a way that we can't. We can't perceive in our human, five senses. She
Right.
almost like had a seventh sense, is what I imagined. And so then we started talking about how in the comics she does use her hands a lot. So I can't not use my hands because for a second I was like, maybe I just shouldn't, just so it's not too similar to anybody. Because even Doctor Strange, uses his hands like a lot of the superheroes do. So then I thought, okay, well, seeing as she's using her actual molecules, like her actual cells and her own atoms to move a different kind of frequency, wouldn't it come from her core rather than just her hands? And then I said, well, look, why don't we study the chakras and imagine that it's a whole energetic force field that's coming out of her. And then she uses her hands to conduct that energy. So I spoke to VFX and Matt and I spoke for ages and Jenny, the movement director, who was wonderful. We just spent a long time trying to work out bodily movements. And sometimes they got a bit too sensual. So we had to pull back a bit because but she is. Yeah, I hope Sue is like a little bit sensual because she is to me in the comics. But it was really fun developing it, and then Matt showed all these images of kind of prisms of light and how light refracts and stuff. So it wasn't just like a whooshing sort of, the Harry Potter wand. It wasn't like that. We wanted to create kind of as if she was moving light, yeah, through space.
Well, it is a reminder of like why they get the best actors in the business for this because like again, towards the end, the kind of stuff you have to do with just your body and like essentially grunting, like making like you don't even have dialogue to lean on in this kind of like these dramatic moments. And it takes a really good actor to sell that because if it could look really silly in the wrong hands.
Yeah. And sometimes you feel silly too, because I
Of
didn't
course.
have
Yeah.
in the scene where I think you're talking about where she's, going at her full capacity.
Yeah.
I had to push against stuff. When we tried, I said, okay, can I push against something so that it doesn't look like I'm just pretending? And how can we make this look really real and almost like the biggest effort of her entire life ever, as it would have to be. But then in the end, I had to do it just on my own. And so there was, hundreds of crew members that are all my friends and stuff, all standing around where I'm kind of, yeah, grunting on the floor and trying to imagine I'm making this effort that's kind of, is the most difficult thing a human being could do. And yeah, you do. There are moments, then you just be like, I'll just keep going.
Yeah.